All right, everyone, here we are with ticker symbol IDEX, Ideanomics Inc. And before we jump into this chart, I want to state to all my first-time viewers and investors, welcome to the channel, Invest for Tomorrow. To all my subscribers, welcome back, and let's jump into this chart. But before we jump into this chart and see all the different technicals here and what the chart is showing us, I do want to announce to all investors and viewers, I have launched my website, investfortomorrow.com. I will put the link down below in the description. And you can see the intro video, which is talking about the goal and the purpose of the website moving forward, as well as I advise everyone to check out the disclaimer so no one is misled and misinformed on the purpose and goal of the website. Now, here we are with our forums where we'll talk about stock picks, weekly and monthly ones, daily watch lists, 1 to 2, 3 times a week, right? 1, 2, 3 times a week, excuse me for that. They'll be announced according to momentum and how the stocks are doing throughout the day and the weeks and so forth. And we also have the gathering of investors, and we'll have further extension of other forums talking about other areas of investing and finance. This is the first one so far, how to manage the intangible, as I call it, and I'm going to talk about credit scores, and what entails with all of that in general. Now, we do have our member options here, and when you choose a plan, you'll have access to certain ones. Each one is showing you what you'll have access to. And in these plans, by becoming a member, you get access to the forums. You can discuss in the forums. You can chat in the forums. You can comment and so forth. So it is optional, but I want every single investor that is viewing every video that I usually do here on YouTube to not miss out on this opportunity. I don't want anyone to say, hey, you didn't tell me, or how didn't I know about this? Because a lot of members have been asking me about a membership, right, forum or a members group or a private group chat. And I created this website, and here it is. I launched it, and I want to say thank you to those of you that have stopped by to check out the website, and those of you that have joined, thank you as well. And I look forward to building a community of investors where we can all learn and grow together. That's always been the goal. But nothing's going to change here on the YouTube. That's just additional content where you'll have an opportunity to become part of the community. So here we are with Ideanomics Inc. It's been in a bearish run. I've been talking about how it's been holding itself up pretty well above that $198, $2 mark. And it certainly has. I mean, we're going to look at our lowest point today, and it wasn't that low compared to yesterday's low and compared to the previous lows. Now, one of the lowest points here, which is probably one of the most important, is 170. I've been talking about that in every single video. You can see that this has been in this nice sideways movement channel. It's kind of like holding itself up. As long as it doesn't break through, obviously, 170, it's holding itself up nice, and it's building a consolidation. Now, we need to watch closely because it could either go ahead and break through the 50-day moving average and get back into bullish territory, break through resistance, and just continue to work its way up and do that staircase effect. But there's no good news right now in Ideanomics. There hasn't been anything like to hype it up or any speculation that's building hope. But the chart is showing a healthy sideways movement. Now we need to see if this healthy sideways movement is only lasting for a while and it's going to collapse, or is it really holding itself up as truly as it shows here? And if it is, it won't get anywhere near 170, and it's actually going to hold itself up until the next either hopeful news or movement of obviously bulls coming on in and loading up on stocks. So we need to see this closely. We need to see what's going on here. And right now, as long as it doesn't break through 170, it's holding up pretty well. Now, when you go ahead and you draw those lines that people usually do, they usually draw that line to see if that's going to happen. And they're like, all right, let's see if it breaks through this point. You know, I've seen that a lot. A lot of people do that. You can go ahead and draw a line and go ahead and get it to this point and see where it actually executes and crosses, right? That's what they do from the highest point all the way to where we're at now. And as you can see, when you put these lines together, basically, the most important place to break through is the highest point before this continued to fall. And even before that is way up here, which is basically our resistance. So it's getting to a close point where when you draw this line, It created a support there. If it holds itself up and it doesn't break through it, if it breaks through the support, it's going to hit newer lows. If it breaks through the resistance, which we're going to look at in just a moment, which is basically a new resistance for today or yesterday's resistance, this could be on its way up to newer highs. So, I mean, this does tend to happen to work, and it could show you the signal of a bullish move, but it needs to break through this point up here. But let's go ahead and see this based off of our resistance and support. That's just another type of analysis that you could do to see, but it's all kind of landing right on the lines and points that we're about to talk about. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys that. For those of you guys that are familiar with that indicator or form of pattern, right, chart pattern, you guys are more than welcome to comment down below what you see, or if you go ahead and agree with me that it is basically touching where our resistance and supports are right now. So 170, most important support level to keep in mind. And now if you want to go even further out into resistance, 243 is super important in the long term, and I'm talking about weeks and months from now if the volatility does take it in that upward movement. So you can write those two numbers down. Now, our resistance from yesterday to today is super important for the next coming days and weeks. 224, super important as well. And our support was broken through and it was moved to newer lows. So let's look at our new support here, which if that gets broken through, this will start to see newer lows. And look at our resistance here, which is the highest point before this fell. I was going to zoom on in and narrow it in with the last couple of hours here, which is super important as well. But this number right here is super important, and I'm saying super a lot because everything right now is super important, but this number right here is standing out to be much more important to keep in mind because of the fact that we're going to break this down as much as possible. So everything I said so far is super important. I just keep putting the emphasis on it, but all these numbers are so important because it's really in a sideways channel, and if it breaks through support, it's going to hit newer lows. And then we got that 170, which is super important. Then we got the 243, which is the highest point before all of this started to fall and go in this sideways channel. So that is an important number for the near future. And then yesterday's resistance level is important as well. But let's go ahead and move on to what the chart is showing us for tomorrow. And again, everything is super important right now. All these numbers, because of the fact that it's been pretty sideways movement, right? You got the volatility up and down, but it's not breaking through the $2 mark, and it's holding itself up, and it's kind of just fighting through the 50-day moving average. Then it comes back down to it, fights through it, then comes right back through it, and so forth. So this has been a tug of war here. So we have the 50-day moving average, and that's 211. 211 is super important. That needs to be broken through. Then the bulls are now starting to gain control, and they're getting closer to the resistance, and they've gone into bullish territory. So that's their first goal, 211. Now, before 211, you have a slight resistance here based off the momentum of the last couple of hours, and that's 207. But that's super close to where the price is right now. So I would say 211 is much more significant. But if 207 gets broken through, it doesn't signify that 211 is going to be broken through, but it's working its way up, and you could see that the momentum is continuing early on tomorrow in the day, or even these last couple hours of the after hours. So you can watch for that as well. So 211 is much more significant than the 207, but you can keep those numbers in mind. Now, what is our support? Our support is $2 to the T. It hasn't broken through that. It's actually touched it twice in the day, and it bounced back from it. If it breaks through $2, that's a very significant support level because that's the area that has not been broken through to get closer to the 170 range. The closest that it got to it was here at 198, and it bounced right back up. So 198 is probably your next support, but since it's 2 cents away, I rounded it all up to $2. I'm just making it break even. $2 is the area that if it gets broken through, we could start to see newer lows, and you're going to want to watch this between $2 and 170. Once 170 gets broken through, we are going to start to see newer lows, and this is hitting much more bearish trajectory than it has before since this bullish run and downward trend. So it's super important. It's been holding itself up so far. So if they can't hold up above $2, that's going to be a big sign that this is on its way down to newer lows. It doesn't mean that the bulls can't reappear and recover and bring this one back up and take advantage of the price, but you're going to want to watch the behavior of this stock if $2 does get broken through, and that's our current support level. Now, on the other hand, we have what the bulls want. The bulls want to break through resistance. This resistance is 220. If 220 is broken through, the bulls have accomplished two things. They broke through the 50-day moving average to get back into bullish territory, and they broke through the first resistance above the 50-day moving average to start to work their way up further away from it into bullish territory to reach new highs and new resistance levels. So if the bulls can go ahead and start that staircase effect, break through the 50-day moving average, break through resistance right from where they're at, they can start that staircase effect and bring themselves up to newer highs, new resistance levels, and get deeper into bullish territory. So I want every single investor to keep in mind these cues, and they're super important for tomorrow. I keep saying super important because they are. IDEX is really, I've seen people say it in the comments down below. It's a really hard chart to even know what's going on. And it is, because the news is not so great for it right now. And then obviously the history of what kind of made this large fall happen. And it's just a lot of uncertainty and profit taking mixed in with all of that. But this sideways movement has made IDEX kind of like, all right, are you going to break through that $2 mark and get closer to your lows of 170? Or are you just kind of consolidating to finally break out through the 50-day moving average, break through resistance, and work your way up to newer highs? I completely understand it. So that's why all these points are so important to watch and pay close attention to. As always, if you found this video helpful and informative, please do so and subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell to turn on all notifications and not miss a single video that I post. Share this with your friends and community, and don't forget to hit the like button to let me know you watch this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.